can't do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
Hello. Welcome to Open Live for Some Soccer. My name's Seth Bertelny. Alongside me, Pablo Maurer, Thomas Floyd. Guys, I didn't think this day was going to come, but here we are.
It's been nearly 4 months.
We're back.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have anything to say, frankly.
How many DC United wins did we miss?
Oh my god. That's not the metric we should go by.
Probably not.
Guys, I just wanted to do at least one more show before we're all incinerated in a nuclear fireball.
Oh my god. I'm gonna look for like a chain link fence to cling to, like Terminator 2 style. My skin is just incinerated off my bones and my head flings back like Sarah Connor's.
Yeah.
Actually, what I'd like to do is like find a hilarious position to get incinerated in. I don't know, like you know, like when
how
they
in
like uncover
Pompeii,
exactly, and it's like two
yeah.
lovers clutching each other.
Yeah.
I want mine to be like, I don't know, me like with like masturbating with a Wawa hoagie at the other hand or something like that. So there's like a BuzzFeed list 1,000 years from now somehow, and it's just like, you know, look at this beautiful remains of, you know,
10 most hilarious positions Americans were found incinerated in during
masturbating with a Wawa hoagie.
The nuclear holocaust of 2017.
What would yours be? What's your position that you'd like to get incinerated in the next week?
I would hope to maybe be at RFK Stadium, like in a seat, like hands behind my head, like leaning back, maybe with a little raccoon skeleton next to me.
I assume that RFK would survive whatever nuclear holocaust.
The cockroach is probably what it is. So, Thomas, what would your position to be incinerated in be?
I don't know. Get back to me on this one. I'm going to have to think of something more creative.
Let's be realistic. It'd be like, this man was found streaming MLS Live on 6 screens. Just like, you know. God. Archaeologists turned up what appears to be a Rochester Rhinos autographed mini soccer ball in this man's apartment. Anyways.
I can't wait to die.
Guys, if you want to call in and tell us which position you'd like to be incinerated in, the lines are open, 708-LT-OWFSS, or if you want to ask a soccer question, that also works. What do we got going on tonight?
We've had a few things happen since our last show. I don't know.
Start from the beginning.
DC United had an entire terrible season.
Like a borderline 2013-esque.
Yeah, close.
They've even started scoring own goals. Yeah.
The most glorious thing was blowing the 3-goal lead to Seattle, I think.
Oh my God. And it was like, as soon as Seattle scored that first goal, it was like, oh wow, this might actually happen.
I was at the Gold Cup quarterfinal that night, so I wasn't watching the game live, and I just was sporadically checking MLS Live, and I saw DC up 3-0, and I looked at it again and saw it was 3-3, and I looked at it like a minute later and saw it was 4-3, and I feel like the most telling part of it is I had no reaction. I just was like, yeah, seems about right.
Yeah. I mean, the reaction was, holy shit, DC United is ahead 3-0 at Seattle. How is this happening?
Yeah.
And then the second half, it was like, well, okay. I mean, we could see a 4-goal avalanche coming. So rather than talk about DC United's season, which is already over for all intents and purposes.
For the record, Ben Olsen at training on Tuesday said he is not giving up on this season and still wants to make a run at the playoffs.
Well, I mean, we all would like a lot of things to happen, but when you are...
Still waiting for my national team call-up. I haven't ruled it out entirely.
Well, which national team? You have your dual eligibility,
Well,
obviously.
my dream is to play for the U.S., but I mean, I don't know that I've publicly told them yet that I have the Spanish passport.
Right.
So I've been saving that to my late 30s to,
if Klinsmann were still in charge and he found out about that, he would give you a call-up immediately. The Tesho Akindele call-up.
Yeah, DC United a league worst 19 points, a league worst .83 points per game.
The goal differential is the
a
real
league
kicker.
worst minus 24 goal differential. Actually, amazingly surpassed Minnesota United in goal differential.
Goals scored, also a league worst.
Yes, a league worst 19 goals scored. They are, however, a mere
They're like,
13 points out of a playoff spot.
yeah, they got this.
So they just need to go on a little bit of run of a sustained run, let's just say, of form that they haven't showed nearly the ability to produce
well,
this season.
they now have like an entirely new midfield. So
That's true. They do have a new team, which is the main thing that we wanted to talk about tonight. There have been a flurry of moves made by DC United in the last week as we count down towards the end of the transfer window in MLS. I mean, a couple months ago, there was Deshaun Brown, which was a badly needed acquisition up top. Who was
rest in peace, Jose Ortiz.
Jose Ortiz, who
Did he die?
might have.
For all intents and purposes.
He's dead to us.
I only recently learned that that it's intents and purposes.
What do you think it was?
Intensive for all intensive purposes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I can't be the only one.
I mishear phrases like that all the time.
Yeah. Anyways,
Yeah, so there was the Brown acquisition. I think that he's clearly been an upgrade at forward. I mean, whether he's really the answer long term, not sure. Mullins looked like that last season and been a kind of a rough year for him this year. He's been injured a lot. Does he have any goals this year?
He does not.
Yeah, 0 goals for Mullins, who couldn't stop scoring down the stretch last year.
Signed to a nice multi-year contract. So, yeah.
the old EJ move.
What we will henceforth refer to as an EJ when a
Yeah.
player gets signed to a long contract and immediately starts sucking. Okay, so let's talk about these 4 acquisitions that DC United has announced in the last week. Well, actually, the 4th one hasn't officially been announced, but we're expecting it imminently. Paul Arriola from Club Tijuana, U.S. international. We got Zoltan Stieber. We're a little unclear on that one. Hungary international, signed from Kaiserslautern, second division team in Germany. We have Bruno Miranda, a Bolivian international at the age of 19, which is impressive, but it's also Bolivia, so we'll withhold judgment on that till we see him. And Russell Knuss, former U.S. youth international, who was on the books at Hoffenheim in Germany. He was on loan last year in the second division. 22-year-old holding midfielder. Well, I think we got to start off at the top with Arriola. DC United, according to reports, is paying a lot of money for him. Club record deal.
In several different ways.
Yes.
Reported $3.5 million transfer fee. Salary in excess of $1 million.
$350,000 to $500,000 in allocation money to buy off the Galaxy, who had a rather flimsy homegrown claim on him.
Yeah, that's another aspect of this deal, which is very interesting. Somehow he was deemed a Galaxy homegrown player, despite the fact he was with their youth academy for 7 months,
and declined a professional contract and went on to have a career elsewhere.
Yeah, right. What claim would they even have on him? I mean, he was signed to their academy, but what is? I don't. This is above my pay grade. I don't really know how that works.
I guess the silver lining would be, otherwise he would be an allocation order player, and DC would probably be shelling out some sort of similar amount of allocation money to whatever team has the top spot in the allocation order. So
that's true, or that team could just say we want him, and then
that too. So either way, through MLS's convoluted mechanisms, DC was going to have to pay someone for the right to sign Arriola.
Mm-hmm. So I think before we get into what DC United paid, I think it's worth just looking at what kind of a player DC United's getting. I know that we aren't watching Xolos on a week-in, week-out basis. I mean, I've seen a few games that he's played with them. He seems to have kind of worked his way through the ranks there to the point where he's been a pretty important player for them the last couple of tournaments, as they say, in Mexico. And then, of course, he's broken through with the national team as well to the point where, he was starting in the Azteca a couple months ago in the World Cup qualifier.
Started all 3 matches of the Gold Cup knockout round.
Mm-hmm. So clearly his stock has been on the rise in the last couple of years, and he's still only 22. But I mean, what kind of a player is he? What are his strengths? What are his weaknesses? What is DC United getting for this huge investment?
I'm really interested to see the answer to that question because I honestly don't know because I haven't watched a ton of Liga MX. From what I've seen with the national team, I think he plays a very different role with the national team than what he'll be expected to do with DC. When he's on the U.S., he's a glue player. He's a guy who they ask to just work really hard, run at defenders, kind of try to make things happen, but really be a two-way player who they can depend on to put in the defensive work as well as create some opportunities. And he hasn't really been much of a factor offensively, aside from, he actually scored in, I think, 2 of his first couple games back when Klinsmann was coach. But more recently, when we're talking about those big games he's been playing in, he hasn't been a guy who's made a big difference on the attacking side, but he's just a reliable player on the field who they can count on to put in the work rate. With DC United, they'll need more than that. And I assume against MLS competition, he'll be able to produce more and be a guy who can get goals and assists. And he's also still very young, and he can develop more skill on the ball, more finishing prowess, and that's what United will be hoping for. But it is an interesting question because you look at someone like Alejandro Bedoya, who signed with the Union, and he plays a similar role with the national team. He's just kind of a utility guy who isn't a go-to guy, but a glue player. And I think some people have been disappointed by how with the Union he hasn't stepped up into becoming the go-to guy. And I think United fans will want to see Arriola handle the situation maybe a little bit differently and be a more aggressive, more influential attacking presence.
Yeah, and he's been a wing player for as long as I've known about him professionally. He's actually with Tijuana played a little bit of outside back as well. Played as part of a 3-5-2, so kind of a wing back. But yeah, what I've seen with the national team is he's a guy with a lot of ambition and a lot of speed when he gets the ball. He's always looking to attack and go forward and be proactive. A lot of times I think that his end product is lacking a little bit. He doesn't find quite the right cross. Also, when he gets in finishing positions, a lot of times it could be better. But he is able to get in those spots pretty frequently, which I think bodes well for him. But, yeah, he needs to work a little bit more on the finesse side of his game.
I do wonder oftentimes with players like this, not necessarily of this stature, because I think Arriola is certainly the most expensive player, at least DC's had in a while, but younger players, when they come to DC, I mean, what you're saying is true, is still sort of like a raw product, and I always wonder if this is the right environment for them to find their legs or hone their craft, whatever you want to say. I mean, there's no Caleb Porter, there's no Patrick Vieira. It's not a huge knock on Ben Olsen or anything like that. I'm just saying that I don't think recently DC has really had a reputation for fostering younger players or, having them refine their game.
I mean, I think of Andy Nahar, and after that,
I can't. You got Colin Martin, Jalen Robinson. These are guys who have moved on or don't see the field, or
I would say,
and I'm not putting them in the same class as Arriola. Obviously, the guy's a U.S. international. I mean, he's past the point where he needs to have his hand held or something like that. I just, I don't know. I do wonder if this is the right place for him to sort of continue his development, and I'm sure Bruce Arena does too.
I will say, skill set wise, in terms of him developing as a player, I'm not sure. It very much remains to be seen. But in terms of just his skill set, I think he very much seems like a Ben Olsen player. The way he lines up on the flank and just runs at guys and has that type of motor, it actually reminds me of, Ben Olsen circa 1999, 2000. He was that type of player. And, Ariola's a guy who, like we've talked about, the end product hasn't always been there for the national team, but the work rate always is, and those seem to be the players who thrive under Ben Olsen.
Let's talk about the other 3 players who are part of this group that DC United's going to bring in.
Yes, let's act like we know anything about them.
In all of our time watching the German Second Division, the Chilean League, and also the German Second Division.
German Second
Yes.
Division.
Or the U.S. or the Bolivian national team.
Bruno Miranda's debut was, in fact, against the U.S.
Yeah.
Curious what the sort of nickname for the Bolivian national team is. Any idea?
The Echeverries. I mean, DC United. I feel like DC United. Half the reason they signed Miranda is like we need another Bolivian here.
Yeah, obviously.
Exactly.
Marco Echeverri and Jaime Moreno are, I believe, probably the only other 2 Bolivians have ever been on the team. Thomas, I mean, you probably.
There is one more, and it's not a coincidence. You probably don't remember Juan Manuel Pena, who spent a season with DC United in 2010. It was the final season of his career. He was like a 35, 36-year-old, 37-year-old center back.
Guys,
and he is the agent who they got in touch with to sign Miranda.
Oh my God, I'm so obsessed with this. The nickname for the Bolivian national team, there's 2. One of them is simply La Verde, the green, whatever. The next one is so much tighter. It's Los Altiplanicos, which means the Highlanders.
Oh.
Yeah. There can only be one.
That's pretty good.
Anyways.
So, Stieber, he's a guy with an international pedigree. I mean, I believe he's still a starter for Hungary. He's an important player for them, which is when they announced this signing. I was like, oh.
Scored a goal at the Euro last summer.
I watched a couple of his mixtapes on YouTube today, and they were impressive, as one does with any unknown international signing.
How's the music?
That's the most important part.
Yeah, I mean, it was your typical sort of like dubstep. He like hits a volley, and all you hear is like whoa, 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 and like drill noises.
And like as soon as the ball leaves his foot, there's a pause for a second, and then the flash of light.
Yeah, there's a pause, and the video slows down, and then it hits the net, and there's like an explosion. We've all seen this.
Yeah. I'll say with Stieber, I have never seen him play a match that I remember. I'm sure I watched a couple Hungary games at Euro last summer. They made it to the knockouts, but I can't say I remember any players registering aside from their goalkeeper who wore sweatpants.
What the Hungarian national team's nickname is.
But I'll say 2 things about him. Nemanja Nikolic is sort of a fringe player on the Hungarian national team who, I think he just came off the bench in a game or 2 at the Euro last summer.
And he's about to shatter the all-time MLS goal-scoring record in a single season.
Whereas Stieber is, as far as I can tell, a regular starter who's pretty reliably in the lineup, so that bodes well.
All right, let's...
Your desperate begging for calls has finally paid off.
Let's go to the phones here. Oh, Jesus Christ, 2 at once.
Oh, man.
Both these guys are named John, too. John Hoffman, call us back. Open wide for some soccer. How can we help you?
Hey, this is John. I'm actually in D.C. Also, just a thought on the sort of piece together highlight reels from all these unknown internationals. Like, why don't anyone in the United States put together something like that for the guys that go abroad and then add their own American musical touch instead of all this, like, dubstep, like, obscure Euro, like, electronica?
You know what I would do is just, like, produce a video of, like, Chris Korb or something like that, but then, like,
and maybe
just craftily insert footage of other players doing crazy shit where it's not easily identifiable who they are. Like I would put, I don't know, put like Ronaldinho or something like swiveling between, you know.
I like the American music idea too. Like, let's just have some straight Garth Brooks in the background of some of the easy
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Doing some like hard country, or get some classic Seattle grunge or something.
I was
like
gonna
that.
say maybe like some corn or something like that, or you know, or I don't know, you know.
But also produce it at like half volume because that shit's always blaring whenever you bring up those videos too for some reason.
John, let me ask you a question. If you had to produce a mixtape of your own personal highlights, what would your theme song be?
That's a great question. It'd be a sad song. It'd probably be slow. Yeah, I'd have to come back to you on that. Maybe I'll tweet it out later. Think of something good for you guys. But anyway, just wanted to get your take on that. Thanks.
All right, take care, guys.
We're not always
You're
good
only one
as
person. Take care, John. Let's listen to this voicemail that was left by our other caller here. Let's see.
Wait, was this the one that was left a couple days ago, or the one that was just left now?
This is a guy who just called while we were talking to the other guy.
Oh, okay.
But
The calls are flooding in.
Let's
Yeah.
make sure we revisit that other one.
Yeah.
Hi, this is John. I'm wondering if you guys think this off-season or this mid-season relative spending spree, is a forebearer of them spending money again in this off-season, or do you think that after the stadium opens, they'll go back to, or at least they won't be signing 5 players at a time, 2 of them being international players?
I think. I don't think they're done, but I don't think you're going to see any other major additions before the stadium opens. What do you think?
I think there's a reason that they made Stieber a targeted allocation money player as opposed to
Save a
their
spot.
third DP. Otherwise there's really no reason to not just make him a DP. So I think they're setting aside that spot for a winner signing.
There's also the matter of re-signing Bill Hamid, whose contract expires in December.
Yeah.
Let me play you guys a voicemail. Voicemail that was received at Saturday at 3:56 a.m. It's true. It's actually woke me up from my sleep, and it's a little scary. Let's see.
Wait, do you get like notifications?
This isn't a question. This is a threat. Listen up, guys. The season is terrible. Make another podcast. Birnbaum and Acosta are yelling at each other. Nothing good is happening. Need some hot takes, to get me through. Anyway, come back, or else I'll start leaving progressively angrier messages.
That's the end of the message. There's no goodbye.
I'm a little,
what was that muffled noise at the end there?
Was that the end? I was just hoping he stayed on for like another 20 minutes.
Jesus Christ,
that was a little scary and a little sad.
Yeah. I hope he doesn't hear this show, so he does leave those progressively angrier text messages or voicemails or whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, I have a question. Well, I guess let's keep breaking these guys down, but I just want to interject a point. We're done with that.
Yeah, I think we. I was going to finish my point about Stieber by saying I just got a glimpse of him at training, and he was the most prolific player in a finishing drill I've seen at RFK since Hamdi Salihi.
I was going to say
so take that for what it's worth.
So here's the other.
Doesn't bode well.
I was just thinking about this story today. I mean, like, Ben also has a history of not playing expensive signings. If you think about Branko Boskovic, Hamdi Salihi,
even EJ had his in and out of the lineup when he was still healthy. Yeah.
So I don't necessarily think any of these guys are a slam dunk right off the bat. I guess Ben's going to want to feel them out, obviously, but
I think Ariel is a slam dunk off the bat.
Yeah, sure.
But I see what you're saying with Stieber because I mean. I like I said, I think Ariel is a fit for the system. We know he's in shape. He just played in the Gold Cup. Stieber fits the bill of the European player who maybe has never played in a system quite like Olsen's before, and there could be an adjustment period as he gets used to the physicality of the league, of the demands of the coaching staff and the system, and and he is he seems like a pretty technical, skilled player, and like you alluded to, some of those guys, you might refer to as luxury players, have been guys who haven't really thrived at DC before. But again, that's just kind of making a comparison, not really having a knowledge of what Stieber is like as a player, because I have never seen him play.
Yeah. Miranda, same situation. I mean, I suppose that as a 19-year-old international, that says something. Also, he was with Universidad de Chile, which is a pretty powerful South American team. I'm not exactly sure how much he played for them, but he was there, so that
He was.
Somewhat speaks highly of his skill set. And there's an opportunity in these last couple months to play someone like him. First of all, they don't have a lot of strong attacking options right now. Like we mentioned, Mullins having a rough season. Brown has been pretty good, not great.
I will throw this out there. Olsen said at training on Tuesday they expects Miranda to get a lot of minutes with Richmond.
Okay.
So
yeah. So any of our Richmond-based listeners, I guess, let us know if he's any good in the next couple months.
He's not going to regret this move at all when he sees Richmond City Stadium. And
where the concrete track is like 1 foot from the sideline.
What's that mud? That their mascot is like some mangy. Do you think I was calling him a mud or something like that?
I didn't know where you were going with that.
What's his name? Do you remember?
It was. I want to say it was a pretty good pun. I'll look it up. You guys.
Yeah.
You guys keep talking.
So I have a question. I think we're talking about this before the show a little bit. I think obviously the United's been a prolific window for them, and I really don't think anybody may have seen this spending spree coming entirely, but I think there are a lot of people out there who probably wanted a name.
His name is Kickaroo.
Yeah, yep. He's a kangaroo. Okay, he's not a mangy mud. I mean, he's a jackalope or a what are those dogs called in Australia? Dingoes. Yeah. I mean, I just assumed he was we're going to eat somebody's baby or something. I don't know.
Also, just for future reference, there is a long backstory for his character on their website.
That's like
probably the Talon backstory where he was like hatched. He hatched, and then have you seen on the website?
It was like Marco Echeverry found him.
He like cracked open his shell. Talon came out, and then the funniest thing is it says that like Kevin Payne or Dave Casper or somebody like signed him to a lifetime contract on the spot. The first of many bad international signings DC United has made was giving a newborn eagle, a lifetime contract. What was Marco Echeverry thinking? Oh God, why am I fucking doing this? Anyways, I'm of the opinion that they should have a name player to open the stadium with, and that's not any slight on somebody like Paul Arriola, who's making waves with the national team. I just, we laughed because they were like connected almost farcically with Rooney, right? Mm-hmm. But a player like that, I think that's just, if you're Orlando, you open this, you have Kaká or somebody going to their stadium. If you think about other teams, look at what NYCFC did in their first year,
or LAFC.
With
they're
Carlos
signing
Vela.
players months before they even, and Bob Bradley, whoever else,
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know that any of the 4 guys that they just signed, or Acosta as well, really moves the needle attendance-wise in the first year.
But Zoltan kind of sounds like Zlatan.
That's
Dare to Zoltan.
So I'll say this. First off, like I said earlier, I do think there's a chance they'll sign someone this winter. And
someone just corrected me on Twitter by saying Talon is a domestic signing. I apologize.
That's true. Yeah. And I'll put out an alternate scenario where they sign, say, Gary Medel. Does Gary Medel get fans at the stadium?
No, that's not the kind of player I'm talking about. I mean,
who do you want, Pablo? Let's put together like a realistic wish list, maybe 3 players that you would like to see DC United sign before the stadium opens next year.
John Terry, they need a center back.
Ronaldo Fenomeno. Who else?
Do not call him Fat Ronaldo.
Yeah, I didn't. Thank you. I did not.
Okay. I know you get upset when that is.
Maybe
when
I don't know.
people call him
Maybe a Peter Crouch.
that. I would love to. I would
love to see the
Crouch.
team Ronaldo, Peter Crouch, and John Terry take the field for DC United in front of 85 people at Buzzard Point.
I bet they could get Joe Cole from the Tampa Bay Rowdies.
They could.
They could.
Yeah.
Reunite him with Deshaun Brown.
You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to say it. Drogba.
Drogba. Did you see that goal he scored?
He scored
recently?
a goal from 40
It was like
yards
a 40-yard
away.
laser
Like-
free kick.
Like it wasn't a fluke. It was just like how did he even do that? Like,
yeah.
oh my God, man.
He appears to be an adequate long-tan replacement.
I mean, even if I've watched a couple of Phoenix Rising games, and he does mostly walk around, but then he does shit like that.
Does he?
You know?
Does he like play 90? Does he start?
He plays like 75 or 80.
Okay.
I mean, I feel like that's why
DC
he's in
United
that
should-
league.
He's on a 3-year
Right.
contract.
Oh,
I mean, I
wow.
don't think he's
Yeah.
playing next year. He moves into like a technical director role or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Do you think he trains?
No, of course not.
Did you guys
see the quote from
I was just reminded of that
the
from
Ronaldinho quote? Said that if he could find a team that would not have him train, he would consider returning to soccer. I'm looking at you, Colorado Rapids.
So there's your ideal DC United
There you
DP
go,
signing
yeah.
right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I would love to see Ronaldinho make an appearance at like the Leesburg Sprint store, whatever they have MLS players do.
Yeah, I would think some sort of a big international name would be nice. I mean, that's obviously very vague, but I'm just thinking because of DC being a very international city, somebody who would move the needle a little bit amongst
Pirlo might be available.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's sad that I watch a lot of NYCFC games, and I think it's sad that recently I've gone to the point where I'm like praying they don't put him in the game. He's so bad.
He started the one.
Do you see his
game
performance on the
recently.
Jovinko free kick?
Yeah.
Where he literally hid behind the wall. Like,
Yeah.
oh my God, man.
So DC United, it seems like they for Areola. All right.
Oh boy.
Claudio Reyna.
Well, Claudio Reyna is the technical director at NYCFC.
No, that doesn't playing
What?
career.
Okay.
Claudio Reyna.
Claudio Reyna played on the U.S. national team with
No.
with
Club
Clint
career.
Dempsey. Damn.
Club career. Claudio Reyna. You basically have 1 year in MLS now.
Claudio Reyna played on the New York Red Bulls with Mike Petke.
Motherfucker.
And Mike Petke coached Johnny Steele, who played for the Rochester Rhinos.
Jesus fucking Christ.
That was 2 degrees.
Yeah,
you.
wow. Even after I hammered him 3 times with, restrictions.
Yeah.
Should we just move on to talking about the MLS, or is there
The general. Well, should we talk about Boswell and Nagel?
Yeah.
R.I.P.
And Letou, apparently.
Letou, who's leaving. No one knows where he's going.
Sebastian Letou, at this point in his career, the first half of the season is essentially a long-winded preseason as he prepares to see which team he gets traded to at the deadline to help for their MLS Cup push. Because that's happened, this is at least the 3rd time
True.
that's happened with him, including just last year.
Boswell, I think we all knew his role was going to be smaller this year, but I was surprised to see him go because he is such a force in the locker room.
Also, this is maybe a little off topic, but going to Atlanta, they needed center back depth because the only center back they had behind their 2 starters is Miles Robinson, who is pretty inexperienced. Even Anton Walks is playing at right back now. But Bobby Boswell in this system would be required to play the ball on the ground, play on a team that presses high and leaves a lot of space in behind. It's basically a team that seems designed to expose the weaker points in his game.
I don't know. Maybe they're just hiring a hitman.
Yeah, maybe.
They just want another player.
Sub him in the 89th minute.
You know what to do, Bobby. Neutralize him. take him out of the game.
Or maybe they want to use him as like a 85th minute Alan Gordon type attacking substitute.
Or maybe it's part of their. My friend Ryan, does social media work for Atlanta. Maybe this is part of their. Maybe BobbyBoswell.com is about to get rebooted.
That would be pretty good. That site was a gem before its time.
Yeah. Shout out Kyle Sheldon. I have a request here, and it's a good Rochester. I think this might stump you.
Okay.
Because we're starting in the lower divisions here.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. This one comes from Robert Cordova. FC Cincinnati goalkeeper Mitch Hildebrandt.
Oh my god.
Well, he plays
God
with.
damn it! He fucking.
You didn't even have to think about it.
Jesus
Well, I
Christ!
just have a starting point. He plays with Omar Cummings, who played on the Jamaica national team. Can I use Jamaica national team?
yeah.
Okay. Played on the Jamaica national team with, say, Jermaine Taylor, who now plays with Sergio Campbell on the Jamaica national team, who plays for the Rochester Rhinos.
Unbelievable.
I like how we get exasperated when he just starts talking.
Because we
Just
know
like,
he's
yeah,
going to finish it. You didn't have
yeah.
to think about
Just
it.
like,
like,
God damn it. He's like,
Yeah.
I haven't even started yet. I just.
I never
spoke
got back.
one word.
The Rochester Rhinos reached out to me, by the way, about like.
I saw that.
and I never got back to him. I should
Well,
get back to him. We haven't done a podcast in half a year. So.
I know. Now that we're back, I think we really need to make the most of this.
Is there like a
connection.
Rochester brand, like a famous brand from Rochester that we can get some sort of sponsorship money
Oh,
from?
yeah. Yeah, for sure. They have.
It's
Well.
like Genesee beer. Is that from there?
Yep. Yep.
All right.
Oh my god, I would
there's
be
a
happy
brewery,
to shill for them.
Yeah.
There's also Bill Gray's is a popular hamburger joint that I know advertises in
I think
like
that's
the
more our speed
commercials.
than Genesee. Bill Gray's hamburger joint.
Welcome to Open Wide Person Soccer, sponsored by Bill Gray's Hamburgers.
We're serving our takes up tonight medium rare, just like the burgers at Bill Gray's hamburger joint.
Hamburger
Wash it
joint
down
was,
with an ice cold
was my
Genesee.
description for the record. That's not their official name.
Anyways,
Where
but
were
I was surprised to see Boswell go, but
He was a lot of cap space and probably
but
wasn't
they're
Gumby's.
still picking up. I think most of his salary for
Yeah.
the rest of the year.
Yeah.
I think it was a little jarring to me because he is one of the only guys in that locker room, probably who's. I identify him with DC United.
Yeah.
He's played hundreds of games for the team.
I also see, well, really mostly him, these guys who are servants to the club and are falling just short of making it to the new stadium. And I feel like there are additional players to whom this is going to happen, especially once they do what will probably be another roster purge of sorts in the offseason.
Who do you think is going to be the next to get the axe?
I mean, I would be surprised if someone like Marcelo Sarvas were back. I think someone like Sean Franklin is on iffy ground.
Well, I mean, I think there were teams inquiring about Sean Franklin apparently during this window. So
And that's the thing. He's still a useful player in MLS and maybe a guy who would make more sense, in a different setup. But for DC, Nick DeLeon can play right back. They have Odoyachum, who's a enticing young left back or right back, first round draft pick. When you have players like that going forward, it could be tough to justify spending money in the salary cap on a veteran like Franklin.
Should we move on to some general MLS deadline day madness? Woo!
still waiting for that
Madness.
Sebastian Latou interview with the window down as he leaves the RFK parking lot.
Just like,
Yeah.
where are you going?
Yeah, exactly.
Uh,
I'm going home.
When
I'm
I
going
hear
to
about
Virginia.
that, I still think of how they did that interview with Breck Shea when he signed with Stoke, and I was just like,
remember that, yeah.
how desperate are these reporters that like Breck Shea is a big get for them?
and it was one of the most uncomfortable interviews I've ever seen.
Yes.
He's just like, oh yeah, I'm really excited. Excited to get started. And they're like, so what are your hopes and ambitions for your first season at Stoke? And he's like, yeah, I think I'm just really excited to get started. Like,
For me, the most memorable part of all those interviews is when like one of the reporters inevitably gets like hit in the face with a dildo or something like that.
well, that's why
it always seems to happen.
that's
right?
why
Like,
they stopped doing those
Yeah.
because
the dildo epidemic.
the crowds behind them got so rowdy, up to and including sex toys being thrown at the TV hosts.
MLS needs more of that. That's what MLS 3.0 will be about. Like
I would love to see
Be
it.
about dildos.
yeah, mostly about dildos.
We're talking dildos
Occasional
or
soccer, mostly dildo.
transfer day coverage.
Yeah.
Anyways,
Anyways,
so I mean, I guess the two big headline moves from this window are Carlos Vela to LAFC and Jonathan Dos Santos to the LA Galaxy, which begs the question: is MLS trying to destroy the Mexican national team from the inside?
I will say next year, Galaxy LAFC, that is going to be
Spicy.
That's going to be like must watch. I probably wouldn't have said spicy, but I appreciate the adjective.
let's keep it topical.
Yeah. Like that will probably be the New York Derby will be run of the mill stuff by then. We'll have moved on. It'll be all about the LA Derby.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Seth.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Well, I didn't really have anything to say, so you
I
go
didn't
ahead.
either.
Thomas, keep talking.
I'm just going to be excited to see, of course, like the tactical matchup of Bob Bradley versus Siggy Schmid. I got nothing.
Why don't we just run down team by team and just examine some of these moves?
Oh yeah,
There
going
were
to do
so many. Like I feel like I pay pretty close attention to MLS, and I was looking through all the transactions today, and there were several players who I had either like completely forgotten had signed with the league or had missed entirely.
Another transfer window with no long tan, by the way.
It's just
I haven't
when you
checked-
say DC needs a name.
Yeah, exactly. I think we know who's going to open Buzzard Point.
Yeah, I haven't checked in on him lately in the CSL.
Still playing for
as soon as I said that, Thomas pulled up his phone. Now
Still
he's
playing
doing
for
it.
Chang Chung,
Now he's
which
doing
sounds like a made-up
I was-
team name, but it's not a made-up team name.
I was about to ask.
All right, so yeah, we're gonna do a little lightning round here of all the recent MLS transactions, and let's see if we can provide any context or just say I've never heard of this person.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going alphabetical order. Landy,
Longtan has 5 goals and 21 appearances
Oh,
this
that's not a
season.
bad haul.
that's
He
not
had
bad.
10 goals last
DC
year.
United,
Oh,
that's
for
like a
Phoenix.
third of DC United's season total.
I mean, in the CSL, he's going up against like some of the highest paid players in the world. So, And,
All right. All right.
Atlanta, they brought in one player, Bobby Boswell. Okay, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Chicago Fire, Christian Dean in a trade recently announced. I don't know, he was supposed to be all that coming out of college.
Remember,
Hasn't
it was
really
the
worked out for him.
Birnbaum versus Dean kind of
Yeah.
thing. And
The-
which one was the better pick?
Yeah, and the top of that draft was it was Birnbaum was in the discussion for the number 1 pick. Andre Blake, Patrick Mullins, who ended up sliding a bit, but was kind of in the discussion initially, and then Christian Dean. And I'd say, obviously Birnbaum and Blake have been tremendous players. Mullins has had some success, and then Dean still kind of biding his time. I think he's only played about 12 games.
He's had some really bad injury luck, but
Mhm.
I also think that when he's been healthy, he hasn't really been able to break through. Okay, Colorado. We've got Stefan Aigner.
That was one of the guys who I
Don't know who that is.
I saw his name and was like, oh, yeah, I vaguely remember them announcing him. He's a German midfielder, and that's all I know about him.
All
He's
right.
going to be a big difference maker for him. Mark my words.
Great.
Anyways, keep going.
Columbus. We have a DP signing. Pedro Santos from Braga in Portugal. A midfielder. Central midfielder, right?
I think he's like a wide midfielder, maybe a number 10 type guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think he's like, 28, 29, so seems to be a good age. I think he played quite a bit for Braga, which you would hope from a DP signing that they at least played quite a bit at their previous club. I don't know, Columbus has just been kind of meh this year.
Well, the signing to me, it essentially forced out Ethan Finley, who we were probably going to get to in a minute when we got to
we're
Minnesota.
only on the C's, Thomas.
But I'm going to go out of order here.
Yeah.
They send Ethan Finley to Minnesota because between them adding Kakuta Mana and now signing Santos, he just got buried on the depth chart. And that's the guy who 2 years ago, MLS Best 11, MLS All-Star, getting national team caps, I think 12 goals, 13 assists in 2015. And I'm really curious about, what happened with him where they said, like, all right, this is a guy we no longer can depend on as a starter, and we need to keep trading and signing big name players at his position and move on. I was very
Columbus
surprised.
also appeared to be losing the services of
Higuain at
Federico
the
Higuain. Yeah. At
I-
the end
I-
of the year, at least.
I think, yeah.
Not often you see a player halfway through the year say, "Yeah, I think I'll be moving on." Like.
I do think Santos, the signing, is thinking longer term because either he or Miram will probably take over Higuain's spot on the field. So.
Who's next? FC Dallas? DC United's next.
DC
we can
United,
skip over that.
FC Dallas. They've signed their typical player from South America or Central America that no one has ever heard of.
But will end up being really good.
This
Luis
is
Gonzalez, transfer from Monagas.
He is a Venezuelan central midfielder, and you don't see this too often. I think the press release even referred to him as depth.
Oh,
So,
wow.
Just to paint a little picture for you, by the way, Seth and I are like literally reading directly off our computer screens. Thomas is just over here freestyling it, knows actual things about all these players.
I'm currently looking up what Monagas is.
It's a team in Venezuela. He spent his entire
yes.
career in the Venezuelan top flight. He's
Guys,
played for like 4
Monagas
different
is actually a
clubs.
Spanish word that means team in Venezuela. Trust me, my name is Pablo.
Whether I
Anyways, I think it's going to be a huge difference maker.
He
for
got a
these guys.
little Sudamericana and Libertadores experience with Caracas.
Thomas,
Yeah.
were you on shift when this
I may
was
have been,
announced?
yeah.
That's what it
The
is.
only way I know these guys is if I'm on shift when these transfers are announced, and then we have to
You
write
either
a short
write or
article
edit
on
it.
them
Yeah,
and
yeah.
use the press release, and they're like, oh, okay, now I know this person. Houston Dynamo bringing in former Arsenal great Philippe Senderos, name I hadn't heard in a long time.
Well, everyone I've brought this up with like a couple people who are based in Europe, coworkers at Goal, and like they just immediately laugh upon finding out he's still playing and he's coming to MLS.
Yeah, where did they sign him
They
from?
signed him from Rangers, who he spent the last year with. He got a red card in his debut and only made 2 more appearances in the entire Scottish season.
Man.
So this is a guy who's just buried on the bench
It
in the
looks like-
Scottish League.
Just looking at his Wikipedia page real quick, in like the last 3 or 4 years, it looks like he's made about 30 appearances.
And he's a Switzerland international who he's played in the last 3 World Cups, but got cut from their Euro team. And I don't know, if you're a guy who has spent his entire career in Europe and you're from Switzerland, I don't know if going to Houston and dealing with that heat and humidity is going to be the best combination. So
Yeah,
I'm
we also missed with Houston Tomas Martinez,
which
who-
actually is a very promising potential signing there.
Yeah.
Like he could really pan out. There's a high ceiling there, and just another young, exciting player to join the guys like Kyoto and Elise and Manotas and Kubo Torres.
Yeah, he went over to Europe. He went to Braga, and he was pretty hyped up, and he spent the season with them last year and just didn't break through with the first team at all. And I think he had some attitude issues, and they sent him on loan. But he was on the Argentina under-20 World Cup team like 2 years ago, so that could work out. LA Galaxy, Pele Van Aanholt.
He's actually been a pretty good right back. He is better than Bradley Diallo.
All right.
High praise.
And of course, Jonathan Dos Santos.
Better than Rafa Garcia.
Again, it appears they've been making some upgrades.
Yeah.
I mean, I am very impressed by the Dos Santos signing.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a guy who over the last year or two has become one of the Mexico national team's most important players.
I think he was arguably their best player at the Confederations Cup this summer.
And to get him at the age they're getting him too. I mean, he's like what, 26?
Yeah.
27? I
mean, the midfield just going forward, legit. Jonah and Gio, there's a lot of talent there.
Yeah, for sure. Having his older brother there doesn't hurt in terms of the recruitment. Pablo.
Huh? Sorry, I'm just zoning out, guys.
Yeah.
It's been a long day.
Minnesota United.
Aside from Finley,
They got
goalkeeper Alex Kapp.
They brought in
yeah.
they brought in a number of players.
Yeah.
Decorated New Zealand center back Michael Boxall
Former Vancouver Whitecaps great.
mm-hmm.
Sam Nicholson, who's looked
from Jam Tarts.
decent from Jam Tarts, former Perry Kitchen teammate. Finlay.
Finley.
Brandon Allen on loan from the Red Bulls. Has he played at all? I don't know.
What about the Montreal Impact? What about?
Let's keep it going.
Move it along.
Well, they bought in Canadian international Samuel Piette from a team I've never
Sounds
heard
right.
of. CD Izara. They've been in a little bit. There's been a little drama there the last couple of days when it comes to Balou Jean-Yves Tabla.
Did you see his
Nicely done.
apology tweet today?
I saw. It was in French, so I don't
Yeah.
know what he said, but
I saw-
I do know it was an apology. But basically, he has been trying to force a move out to Europe. 18-year-old, and because Montreal apparently turned down some bids for him, he just decided he didn't want to practice anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like on a little mini strike, but he's back and apparently apologized today. What did he say?
That was my understanding based on whoever translated it on Reddit.
All right, and then they also signed a couple defenders. Nah, not that interesting. New England, Claude Diana.
He's a center back.
French.
That's all I know about him.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's also their only signing. I guess why improve on perfection? You're the New England Revolution.
Everything's going perfectly.
It is for now because Kai Kamara is angry.
Yeah, he
So
decides to
I-
start scoring some angry goals.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I was very randomly at the game in New England 2 weekends ago when he called out Ivis unprompted in his post-game press conference.
By name?
By name.
What did he say?
Oh
my God.
It was the day before Ivis had written a column at goal.com about how the Kamara situation had just turned into like an unhappy marriage that neither side could really get out
Oh
of.
my God.
And Kamara, I believe, scored 2 goals in that game and also had a goal line clearance. So big match for him. And then after the game, someone asked a question kind of just referencing, how Kamara had, come across as unhappy with his situation, not talking about Ivis's article at all. And then Kamara was like, yeah, I shouldn't talk about these things in the media because then Ivis is going to write about it. And
So he wasn't like furious or anything like that.
I mean, like, he wasn't angry, but, I
was
mean, he was in a
imagining,
good mood.
WWF promo video or something. Talking to you, Ivis Kalarstev. You come down here to, yeah.
I mean,
By the
it
way,
wasn't.
a beautiful stadium to watch a soccer game in, right?
I will
Anyways.
say the press box food is amazing.
It's
They
that's
had
an NFL thing, right?
Yeah.
Like any NFL stadium, the press box food is
well,
good.
and like
I-
Yankee Stadium, same way. Press
Really?
box food is fantastic.
Don't
Yeah.
don't tell Bob Kraft that they're serving the press good food
I know.
at soccer games because the next time you go there, it'll be Jimmy John's.
At halftime, so at RFK, to give people a reference point, the halftime snack is like hilariously oversized, stale, and somewhat soggy cookies.
or like really weird, dense brownies with powdered sugar on
And then
them.
there will always
By the way,
be
you have to
one
like
strawberry.
Yeah, exactly. That's Bertha's touch. Is just the strawberry garnish.
Guys,
The-
that's decorative.
yeah.
You're not supposed to eat
The
it.
halftime snack at Gillette looked like a legit wedding cake that they then sliced up and gave to the media. And then
And-
there were also bags of popcorn for everyone.
And
as
everybody
well.
got a free Mach 3 razor. So speaking of Yankee Stadium, NYCFC have done nothing, signing James Sands to a homegrown contract, but believing that they're adequately equipped for the long haul.
I wouldn't
they're in good
argue with
shape.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They have
TFC
depth.
might argue with it, but whatever, it's
yeah.
fine. Anyways,
Yeah, just probably not.
I mean,
much
if you're a
to this
team
subject.
that has Tommy McNamara on your bench, then you're
you're
pretty low.
over the river on the Harrison Sludge front, the Red Bulls have been slightly more busy, correct?
Yeah, Fidel Escobar, defender from another team I've never heard of.
San Miguelito
Panamanian.
means Saint Small Miguel. Saint Small Michael is what it means,
the
guys.
Little,
Okay.
the little,
The
Saint
little
Michael.
Saint Michael. Yeah.
And
Good to know.
Mohamed Keita, forward from Lech Poznan, team I have heard of.
That actually means sludge front in Polish. I'm going to guess that is.
They are soccer players.
All right, moving on.
Yoshi, Orlando City.
Okay, Orlando City. This is an interesting one because they traded like all of the TAM and the GAM in their bank account for.
And they had a ton because Minnesota vastly overpaid for Kevin Molino.
Right.
So Orlando could in turn vastly overpay for Dom Dwyer.
Yeah. So it's an interesting situation because are they bringing in Dom Dwyer because they want to partner him with Kyle Aaron?
That was a pop-up ad. I'm sorry about that.
Or are they bringing in Dom Dwyer because they feel like they're going to lose Kyle Aaron pretty soon and they want to have a ready-made replacement?
My guess would be that they brought him in thinking long-term, this is our Laren insurance policy, but then also short-term, maybe with the two of them together, they could make a run at things in the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy because Sporting KC has been very reliant on Dom Dwyer for goals in the last 2 seasons. They haven't really had a second scoring option. And the fact that they were willing to let him go, I mean, obviously they got a ton of allocation money, but you wonder, are they really higher on Diego Rubio than other people? Yeah. Was there some sort of a locker room issue?
I think it was just such an insane amount of money that they couldn't say no.
Yeah.
They did have this experience where the year they won MLS Cup, they sold Kai Kamara, and it was too late to bring in a replacement, and they just went on and won MLS Cup anyway. So maybe Vermes has that in the back of his mind, like no one player is so valuable to an MLS Cup run that you turn down that type of money.
Guys, I mean, can we just can we talk about Yoshi, please?
Yoshimar Yotun.
Guys, these are Yoshi sound effects.
Oh, I did not get that.
I mean, I figured. Oh, I like that one.
Thought that was another pop-up.
Anyways,
I
thoughts?
thought you were making those for a second.
Yeah.
Those are my noises of passion. When I make love, I make those noises. Anyways,
Sporting KC.
Moving on.
Are they going to announce Nemeth? Is that happening?
It sounded like there were some rumors about that, but there were some issues like they would have to trade up an allocation order and maybe some other stuff.
If they got him, then I think the deal 100% in favor. Like, if you get all that money for Dwyer and then you bring in a guy like Nemeth, who is a proven goal scorer in MLS, albeit just in one season, then I think that's a great deal for them. But they are an MLS Cup contender this year, and it is if you're a fan of the team and you want to see them push for a trophy, I would think it's tough to just see them lose their leading scorer.
By the way, shout out to the Philadelphia Union, who we skipped over because they didn't sign. Actually, they signed a chief tattoo officer. Actually,
That's
I saw
true. And they announced it on deadline day
as a signing when they didn't sign anybody else. But by the way, if you want a quick laugh, the responses to their tweet are pretty golden by their fans, who you might assume are obviously pretty pissed off.
This reminds me of a few years back when the Red Bulls announced that they were gonna make a big signing, and it ended up being like some Formula One driver who drove for the Red Bulls team, and their fan base is always perfectly rational, and I'm sure they took that in stride. They took it well.
What about Real Salt Lake? Pass him out, Trey. Pass him out.
We missed Portland.
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
They signed Bill Tuiloma, New Zealand international, from Marseille, where he did not actually play. But Marseille's a big club in France, so that's good, right?
They got the center back they've badly needed all season, Larry's plural. Mobilia?
Larry. Yeah, his first name's Larry's.
Like
multiple Larrys.
Is Mabiala or whatever, however you say that, a thing, and it's just like, hey, that's Larry's Mabiala. I'm sorry, we shouldn't be making fun of names, but that one's Larry's. Good God. All right. RSL.
RSL.
Yeah, who all of a sudden
Marcelo
looked pretty
Silva.
decent. Yep.
Yeah, Marcelo Silva, who has made Aaron Mond expendable, who was recently traded to Vancouver. That's exciting. Let's talk about San Jose.
Anybody want to take a swing at Valeri's last name there?
No, yeah.
Kazashvili? Kwazashvili?
He's already scored a goal for San Jose.
Doesn't he?
Could be good.
He has a name. He has a shorter name that he goes by, right? It's like Kaza or something.
Yeah.
Cuz. We'll just call him Cuz from here on out.
Cuz.
San Jose, for a team that you look at up and down their roster and it's, their biggest name is Wando. Take that for what it's worth. And a team that fired their coach quietly have been good right there in the thick of the playoff race and could be a factor. If this signing, pans out and
Seems like they've been able to turn things around a little bit under Leach after they fired Kinnear, and Leach has been a little more committed to playing younger players. Like Jackson Ewell, for example, he played 0 games for like the first 4 months of the season, and now he's started like 5 of their last 6 games.
Tommy Thompson is getting more consistent minutes.
Well, he's gone now.
Well,
where'd he go?
What?
Wait, what?
Huh? Who are you talking about?
No, I'm thinking of somebody else. Never mind. Thomas picks his phone up in a panic.
I was like, did I miss a?
Yes, actually, he's gone now. Barcelona just purchased him to fill the void from Neymar.
Tom.
Yeah, it's now MST.
What? Tommy Thompson's also the former governor of Wisconsin.
It's the same person.
Oh.
Yeah.
Seattle.
He does come right up.
Yeah.
Seattle, they signed Victor Rodriguez from La Liga, although the team he was on got relegated. I forget the name of the team, but I guess
did not get Derlis Gonzalez, who they had been linked to.
Yes.
The deal fell apart pretty late in the process.
Yes, that would have been sort of their Lodero for this year, as Gonzalez is quite good. So that's a buzzkill. They did get Lamar Nagel though.
Yeah.
Triumphant homecoming.
Add some depth. His 4th stint with the Sounders. That's ridiculous.
Wow.
I should just break up already.
Sporting KC, not much. Christian Lobato.
He's a central midfielder. I don't know. He'll push Espinoza and Feilhaber, and we'll see.
Cool.
Could be a good player.
Toronto, Nicholas Hasler. Wingback. He's played for them.
He's been playing.
Yeah. Okay, that's my analysis.
Yeah,
of the trade.
he is good enough to get on the field.
He has played.
The Whitecaps picking up Aaron Mond. Did you guys see their tweet today? Like his surprised expression they used in the.
I did not.
I'll hand this to you. It's fine.
Well, while we're waiting, they also signed New Zealand's starting goalkeeper Stefan Marinovic. Just to be Osted's backup, I guess. I'm kind of curious about that move. I'm going to I don't know. Is he long-term, they having him in mind? Because it seems like an odd signing otherwise.
Here, take a look at this photo, and just the caption should be that feeling when you find out you got traded to the Whitecaps.
That's pretty good.
Oh wow, yeah. You might want to tweet that out from the OWFSS account. Mercifully, we've reached the end of the list.
No, we're going to USL now. Come on.
Yeah.
Drogba, great signing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Long Tan, big loss. That's all I got. Should we wrap it up?
Yeah, I want to do one more. Rochester 6 degrees of Rochester Rhinos.
Here we go.
You know what? I'm gonna find and pick a truly obscure player.
Oh man!
And let's see. Hold on a second. I'm gonna give you a clue. Right now, I'm typing in Real Monarchs roster.
Oh boy!
Yeah. So we'll dig deep there.
Oh well. I'm gonna fact check one thing real quick.
What? No, you're just looking at the Monarchs roster.
Okay,
You can't cheat.
We'll see.
In the meantime, Ivis just tweeted out the Rapids are trading Dylan Powers to Orlando City for Luis Gil.
Interesting. Gil didn't really make much of a mark. He was kind of lost in the shuffle in Orlando. I also think I'm not sure Powers will be in a better situation. They have a lot of midfield players.
Gil, his career trajectory has been really disappointing because there was a time, it was probably like 5 years ago now, but he was like the big American prospect. Like Arsenal was like with them. All right.
Real Monarchs player Chase Minter.
Okay, so do you have the Monarchs roster up?
I do.
You just picked a random player.
Is Alex Sundley still on the Monarchs?
Jesus, let's see.
Sundly?
No, he's not, which means you're probably fucked.
Well,
oh, I don't know about that.
Well, wait.
Oh, I can get you.
Well, this guy, how long has he been on the Monarchs?
Chase Minter, let's see. So I'm working with like dial-up here. Welcome to hour 4 of Open Wide for some soccer.
What I'm getting at is Alex Sundley is a former Rochester Rhino who, at least somewhat recently, was on the Monarchs. So this guy either played with him or has teammates who overlapped with him. Maybe like he played with.
He played in 2016.
Okay, so last year Chris Schuler spent a lot of the year with the Monarchs. Actually, this guy probably overlapped. I think Alex Sundley was on the Monarchs last year, and he's a former Rochester Rhino.
All right, whatever.
Let me fact check this.
Yeah, we'll just go with TBD on that one because I don't know Chase Minter's career well enough to verify this. Chase, if you're listening, we love you.
Okay, so one more deadline day update from Steve Goff, and it's hilarious. Here's the tweet. I'm going to just read it. Looking like Latou will remain with DC United, ... unless he decides to retire.
Okay.
So I guess the implication there is that he might choose to just quit rather than play out the rest of the season with DC United, which would be kind of sad.
If I were him, I'd just collect that paycheck.
I don't really give a shit.
Okay. I fact-checked it. Alex Sundley was on Real Monarchs through the end of 2016.
Oh, really?
And that random guy you threw at me was on the Monarchs in 2016 as well.
Fine.
So I'm saying I got there in one link.
Wow. Just a one. I give up, man.
Good to be
Well, you just happened to pick a random MLS affiliate who had a former Rhino on them.
We need to, like Sebastian Latou's career, this needs to mercifully end, I think, at this point.
All right, guys. Thanks for sticking with us, and we'll be back in less than 4 months.
No promises.